Greetings to those who watch below. Today we are dipping back again into one of my favourite subjects, inhuman entities. But before we start, I'd like to say thank you to those who dwell below. An exclusive channel membership you can check out using the link in the description box. So thank you to Steffi Ray, Wicked Witch, Lisa Watts, Lefty Kim, M.A. Way, Julie B, Jess Black Curtain, Christina Groves, LT Punisher 666, Chris BLK Chris, and Canopsia. For Halloween, I'm going to be covering some stuff that's in the mood of the season, and also some things that, quite frankly, terrify me. As well, I would like to do a subscriber special, so if you have any paranormal encounters that you'd like to share, please make sure to email them to me. My email's in the description box below. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy. We are being hunted by St. John. A little backstory. I've always had weird experiences, be it ghosts or strange creatures. It just always seems to follow me and my family. We'd just recently moved into an old farmhouse just off the main road. The house comes with 88 acres of land, and only 4 people live on or near the land, including us. When we first moved in, nothing abnormal happened. It was just a small, out-of-the-way house that seemed like a new start for us all. After a month of us living there, we started hearing strange noises outside at night, but nothing too serious. One night, we decided to have a fire and get drunk, while me and a few other guys that were there decided to go and do some night fishing. While fishing in the pond that was maybe a mile into the woods, we started hearing screaming. We just think that it is one of the girls back at the house, so we head back. But on our way back, we start to notice that there is no more sound. No sounds of nature, no birds, no crickets, nothing. So we stop to listen. As we do this, we hear the sounds of chains rushing towards us. As it gets maybe 15 feet from us, I point a gun at where I think the sound stopped at and fire a shot at the ground a couple of inches from it. After a minute passes, the chains rush to the house. Nothing happened after that until we all go inside and start going to bed. We all hear a female scream again, but behind it there was a deep, distorted laugh. After that, nothing happened until about 3 weeks later. Me and my dad go fishing out at the pond late in the afternoon. As it inches closer to dusk, we notice 3 pale white animals on the opposite side of the pond. But as soon as we notice the animals, they run. But instead of running on all fours like a normal animal, they all jump to their hind legs and jump about 8 feet into a tree and hop from tree to tree away. As we see this, we decide to head back home, but on the way back, we hear the trees start rustling, and it keeps getting closer and closer until we get to the house and lock the doors. I decided to set cams in the woods and around the house. At first, I didn't get anything, just deer and wolves. Until one night, a cam close to the house is moved for an hour, then put back. Nothing really came off that until one night. After a long day of working, I decided to play a video game with a few friends. About 11 at night, I hear 2 taps, but I ignore it, thinking it was on the game. It continues until 2 in the morning, periodically every 5 minutes. 2 consecutive taps would happen. I finally took my headphones off and hear it at my window, and when I look, I saw orange eyes 7 feet off the ground. After about 2 minutes of staring at each other, it moved closer to the window and smiled at me, with blood-stained daggers for teeth. Its face looked like a pale wolf-like face, with some decay along the sides of its head and neck. After doing this, it backs away and leaves. Now, every night something happens. Like tonight, as I'm writing this down, it rushed onto the porch and clawed the door. As it's doing this, it is bellowing out a laugh that almost sounds like a deranged madman crossed with a hyena. Tomorrow, me and a few guys are going into the woods with guns to try and finally put an end to this torment. Please don't think I'm crazy. We saw what I can only describe as the creature from the Predator movies. by 01101001100. Okay, I totally understand if no one believes this, because we are still unsure of what the fuck happened. But we sat down and came to a consensus on events, and we all agreed that we witnessed the same thing. Me and 3 buddies were hiking Thursday and Friday in the San Bernardino National Forest. Various trails, mostly the known ones, and mostly during the day. Friday, we were making our way to Clark's Summit. As we were walking, one by one we noticed that we were veering off the trail. I asked my friend in front of me why he was going off the trail, and he asked our friend who was in front of them the same thing. The friend in front told us, "I can hear a woman talking, you guys don't hear that?" We didn't hear anything. We tried to convince her to leave it be, because it was already kind of dark, and we were close to where we wanted to set up camp on the trail. Our friend insisted that what she heard sounded like a female calling for help, and that she sounded really close, so I think she felt inclined to investigate a possible female in distress, while we were totally okay with going about our business. Okay, I get a bit spooked now because she's absolutely serious, and we absolutely could not hear whatever she was hearing. Here's where it got weird. We only veered off the trail about 300 to 400 meters, yet at one point we were completely lost. We don't have any fancy gear or GPS stuff because we've never needed it, but we've been on this trail enough to know we hadn't gone far, yet we couldn't find the trail in any direction after walking for about 15 to 20 minutes. I started to feel weird, kinda dizzy and lightheaded, and when I mentioned this to the other 2, they said that they felt weird as well. It was like something had changed the environment around us, or moved us somehow to another location. I had no idea which way to go, and now it was fully dark. My female friend said the woman's voice had said, "I'm over here," and "Please help me." She said it sounded like she was hurt or crying. So here we are, somehow lost, after walking for only about 20 minutes off a large trail because my friend is hearing voices. We decided to stop walking in any direction, because the last thing you want to do at night is to get even more lost. We had 2 tents and sleeping bags in our packs, so we found a clearing and set up. We figured once the sun was out, we'd easily find our way back to the trail. Before we could even lay down to rest, I noticed a tree near us was moving, as if something was climbing it. It was really dark, and I wear glasses, so I really struggled to see. So I called my friends over to see. I thought it was an animal at first, but it wasn't an animal. It wasn't anything. I could see the outline of what roughly looked like a human shape, but it was transparent, like completely see-through. The best way I can describe it is the way heat waves look on the pavement in the summer. You know, that wavy liquid effect. My friends saw it too. My male buddy said, "What the fuck are we looking at?" when he finally spotted it. They all said the same thing. It was transparent, but still visible due to the foliage around it being displaced and moving as it moved. We all just stood stone still, whispering theories back and forth as to what we thought we were seeing. I thought maybe it was some kind of optical illusion, but they both immediately jumped to aliens, of course. The thing just sat there, perched on a large branch about 50 feet up. It's like it was watching us watch it. The other oddity is that after staring at this thing for about 10 minutes, we noticed all the normal forest sounds we heard prior had stopped completely. I mean, the only noise was us talking and the leaves under our feet. The hairs on my neck stood up, and I had goosebumps all over when I realised this. It was like something was truly wrong. After about 10 minutes of us standing there, whatever this thing was started to climb up the tree even more, until we could no longer see it. We approached the base of the tree slowly and walked around in a circle, with our necks craned up trying to see this thing. It was too dark, and the trees were too close for us to see the top. We didn't hear it jump to another tree, so we assumed it was still up there. We were all too spooked to camp right underneath whatever this thing was, so we gathered our shit and started walking towards the moon. I shit you not, after about 5 minutes of walking, we were back on the trail. I literally dropped my bag and swore out loud. We all stood there confused, looking around, trying to confirm what we were seeing. My buddy likes to joke, and said maybe we walked through some hallucinogenic spores, and had imagined all of it. I highly doubt that. But whatever happened, it seemed kind of, predatory. Like it seems like something was luring us, or trying to confuse us. My friend still thinks we were messing with her about not hearing the woman she claimed to hear. Was it that thing we saw, imitating a woman? How did we get lost so close to the trail? This was easily the weirdest thing I have ever experienced in the wilderness. We still don't have a good theory as to what we saw. It may not have been an alien, but whatever it was humanoid, and it was 100% transparent, somehow, and able to climb a really large tree with ease, without making much noise. Horned Humanoid. Horned Humanoid by Humphreysbogart. This happened back in 2009 to 2011. The people in the story are myself, my ex-girlfriend, who I'll call Penny, and a friend, who I will call Kyle. My mother had asked us to pick up her cat from the vet around 4 or 5 p.m. one night. As it was winter in the northern Midwest, it was getting dark at around this time, and it was already a bit of a drive to and back from the vet, because my mother lived out in the country and the vet was in town. At any rate, we went and got the cat without issue, and after we were to drop it off, myself, Penny and Kyle were going to see a movie. We get back to my mother's house. The sun has already set for the most part, and it's quite cold. Kyle decided to help me carry the cat inside, while Penny kept the car running to keep the heater going. Kyle liked talking to my mother and wanted to see her before we headed back out to see the movie. Well, we're walking up to the house, and both Kyle and I stopped because we got this weird feeling at the same time. We figured this out later when we were talking about it. The house is in front of us, and my mother's yard is behind us. It was a big farmhouse, so had a sprawling front yard. We both stood still. We felt frozen to the spot by this weird feeling, and I looked first and saw something standing behind us in the yard, and then Kyle looked too. The thing had to have been well over 6'3", because that's how tall Kyle is, and it was bigger than him. It had a hulking shape, with more mass on top than the bottom, like a hunchback, which kind of just tapered off into the shadows, so I don't know if it had legs or what they might have even looked like. The whole thing was pitch black, even in the dark. It had no eyes, no discernible features whatsoever as far as facial features go, but I could tell it was huge and very angry. There was just a feeling I was getting off of it that it was mad that we were there, and I could tell it was staring straight at us. The only discernible features about it were, it had horns, massive horns, like antlers, sticking up off its head, and the hunch on its back seemed to be lumpy and had a regular shape sticking out of it, but because it was so dark, I couldn't figure out what it was. Neither of us heard a sound from it. It just stood there and menaced us for what felt like minutes, but it can't have been that long. Kyle unfroze me from the spot, and the two of us darted into my mother's house and delivered her cat. We waited a bit, but after looking outside, didn't see anything out there anymore, and after talking to my mother for a bit, we ran back outside and Penny put on the gas and we got out of there. We never saw it again after that, but to add a little background on my mother's house, it has always been haunted. The house that is standing there now is a newer build. The older farmhouse that had been there previously had burned down and killed a young boy, a mother, and her older daughter. My mother has had issues with it for a long time. She's had the house blessed on several occasions, but nothing ever sticks. Friends who stay in the house have reported weird stuff happening to them as well, and when I lived there, I also experienced some odd things, but this was the only time this happened. The house is situated in Indiana, near the Sugarloaf Mound, which was used by the Miami natives in Indiana's prehistory. Very tall, thin, bony and dark humanoid. I haven't seen anyone else encounter a similar thing. By F. emasculata. For context, this took place in 2007, and I was young, but even after all these years, I cannot figure out what the heck I saw. I have truly only told very few people because I fear them labelling me a nut. I'm in upstate New York somewhere, and we are driving at night in a super rural town. This was a little town we drove around in often, so we knew our way round, and we knew shortcuts. On this night, we wanted to go to a party and chose to take a shortcut. Note that we were not inebriated at all. Ultimately, that was the goal of the night, but this kind of messed those plans up. There was a small side street, and you could turn left into a one-lane tunnel to cut to the main road. At the end of the street is a lettuce field, which runs parallel to visible train tracks behind it. There is a pole with a circular mirror pointing at the tracks, I assume for maintenance workers. This mirror is 10 feet off the ground. As we pull up to turn into the tunnel, we stopped a moment as we were just talking, and we looked forwards towards the field. I don't know what happened honestly, but there was just this tense silence and fear that came over us, and we saw this slouched creature, almost squatting, and just stared. At that point, it was crouched down, and easily we could have thought that it was maybe a deer or a bear. But it turns its head, looked at the car, and its eyes widened in surprise. They reflected green, like cat's eyes, but huge. It stood up, and that's when we realised it had 2 legs, and could see its shape. Someone whispered, "Turn the high beams on." And when we did, I was so afraid I couldn't even scream. It was very tall, easily 8 or 9 feet, standing up, but its spine was still visible, as it was skinny, and it walked hunched over. You could even see hip bones in its shadow. The thing is, it seemed terrified as we were. It took off straight and ran into the woods, so we went flying through the tunnel so we could get parallel and maybe catch another glimpse, but he was gone. Like we had scared it off. The whole drive ended. We went home. I tried to make jokes about it being anorexic Sasquatch or just hella drunk Shaquille O'Neal in a costume, but it didn't change the feeling we felt. Just absolutely shaken. It was like that moment of fear zapped all the energy away from us. My sister and I seeing the same humanoid creature months apart. The first sighting was in July of 2019. I was on the phone with my boyfriend in rural Arizona. I was sitting in my truck at the time, parked facing my house to the east. With him and I, we would be on the phone till one of the others slept. This night it was him, and it was around 10 p.m. After I tried multiple times to wake my boyfriend up, or to see if he was sleeping, I hung up. After the call ended, I felt this feeling like I was going to see something scary, and tried shaking it off. I looked behind me to the west, and towards the northwest there is a lot with a giant streetlight in the middle of the property. In the area between the lot and my house is a ditch with some more space in the middle. But from the darkness, I saw this being come from the ditch, and contrasted by the bright background of the lot, it floated and glided above the ground, it seemed. The movements it made were really smooth, and it didn't have any jagged motor movement like any normal thing. I was looking at it, astonished I was seeing it, because it looked like its arms weren't like normal arms. They were fluid, and almost were like tentacles. But it looked like it was in the water, and the tentacle arms moved with it like a wave. The movement it glided was very fast as well. I was super scared, and never experienced anything like it before. I called it the Fluid Man to my family. I can still see it in my mind when I think about it. The second sighting was from my sister in October of 2019. At around 10 p.m. on a Friday night, my sister went outside to get some air, since the wood stove we have can get a little hot when it's filled with wood and coal. She went outside and then opened the door fast to tell me to come. I was sat on the table across from the living room in the kitchen. When I ran over, she said that the thing was gone, but that she saw something rise up from the ground like a zombie and then hover 20 to 30 feet in the air. She made the movement of it rising from the ground in an upward motion very exaggerated, which made it seem even creepier. It was in the same area as last time, since if you go out to my front door, it's looking west. She said it had started flying after two people who were walking west on the road, and it was going in the same direction as them. My sister is a very hard-headed, stubborn person who isn't scared of anything. She's super courageous and will do anything to keep us safe. She never shows any emotion and keeps a strong front, like my dad. Her and I have a special relationship, so I've seen the real her more than anyone else, and she's my best friend. However, I've never seen her that scared and alarmed in my life. It scares me too, because it's something that I rarely ever see. Both experiences were scary, and it was weird they happened within months. I always hope that I will never see it again. Hi guys, thank you so much for listening to today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel. Also, there'll be a new video on the creepypasta.com YouTube channel tonight too, so make sure to go check that out after you finish this video. So, until next time, sleep tight.